The characters in Bluey, in general, are ordinary people living completely normal lives. But did you know that despite that, several celebrities have already appeared in the show?
What?
Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth lived in the United Kingdom, but that didn't stop her from appearing in Bluey. It's not like there's an episode where the blue pup meets the Queen of England face to face in the flesh. She appeared in a much more subtle way, but one that actually makes sense. In the episode Markets, Bluey receives a banknote, and that's where Elizabeth appears. Yes, her face is on Bluey's banknote, and the best part, she is a dog just like all the others. More specifically, a corgi, which was not a random choice. A very well-known fact about the Queen is that this was her favorite dog breed. She owned more than 30 corgis from the beginning of her reign until the very end. Seeing her on a banknote might seem a bit strange considering that this series comes from Australia, a country that isn't even on the same continent as England. But what not everyone knows is that Australia is a kind of monarchy, and its official leader is always the current king of the United Kingdom, though his role is much more symbolic than anything else. That's why Queen Elizabeth's face appears on that banknote, since she was officially the Queen of Australia until her passing in 2022. In other words, her presence in Bluey actually makes perfect sense, and that's not even the most shocking special appearance. Get ready, because we're about to tell you about all 12 celebrities you didn't know appeared in Bluey. It's time to have fun with us in another Cinewave.
Happy, dance.
Natalie Portman. Whenever you're watching Bluey and come across a background character or someone who appears in just a single episode, it's worth suspecting that this character might be voiced by a celebrity. That's exactly what happens in the episode Whale Watching, when a documentary about whales is playing on the Healer family's television. The voice narrating that documentary is no ordinary voice, because the narrator is played by Natalie Portman, an Oscar-winning actress who has starred in many successful films. She played Jane Foster in the Thor movies, Padme in Star Wars, and the lead character in Black Swan, the film that earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress. Yes, even the most successful Hollywood actors are willing to make a cameo in Bluey, which only shows just how successful the animated series really is. Lin-Manuel Miranda. One of the strangest characters in Bluey is definitely Major Tom. He is simply a talking horse that Indy and Winton encounter in the episode's stories. But of course, this only happens in their imagination. The world of Bluey isn't quite so absurd that kids just run into talking horses, at least as far as we know. But there's a very good reason we're talking about this horse. He was voiced by Lin-Manuel Miranda. If you don't recognize that name, you can be sure you've at least heard some song he's written, because he's an incredible composer who has created music for several films. You know the songs from Moana and Encanto, like You're Welcome and We Don't Talk About Bruno? He was the mastermind behind those hits. This is a special appearance that fits perfectly, since Bluey is an animated series widely known for its amazing soundtrack. It would be incredible if Lin-Manuel Miranda ever composed a song specifically for the show. Even the character's name is a reference. Major Tom is originally an astronaut character mentioned in the song Space Oddity by singer David Bowie. The reason for this reference is that Lin-Manuel Miranda is a huge David Bowie fan, and often includes nods to Bowie's music in his own compositions. Eva Mendes. As funny as it may be, Natalie Portman wasn't the only actress to make a cameo on the show as someone speaking from inside a television. In the episode Born yesterday, Chili is watching a yoga program when Bluey and Bingo suddenly appear and interrupt her. And it was precisely the yoga instructor who was voiced by a celebrity, in this case, an American actress named Eva Mendes, known for starring in dramas, comedies, and action movies. This special appearance wasn't done for any specific promotional reason, but rather because the actress had previously shared that Bluey is her daughter's favorite series. She herself has said that she never gets tired of watching it. After that, the show's producers found a really cool way to include a special cameo by the actress. We're willing to bet she was very happy to be part of a cartoon that marked such an important part of her daughter's lives. So yes, even celebrities are fans of Bluey. And if you love this show too, how about commenting #celebrities so we can make more videos about Bluey? Megan Washington. Not all special appearances happen only once. There are certain celebrities who play more important characters that appear across multiple episodes. You know the teacher Calypso? She is voiced by Megan Washington, a well-known Australian singer. Even though she is not a main character, Bluey's teacher is quite important to the series and has appeared in more than 10 different episodes, making Megan Washington the celebrity with the most screen time on the show. And let's hope she gets even more screen time in the future, since Calypso is an amazing character and a great example of a good teacher. On top of that, Megan had the chance to use her singing skills in the series, since she actually sings in Calypso's introductory episode, an episode that, by coincidence, is also called Calypso. Rose Byrne. Another character who was introduced in a full episode focused entirely on her is Aunt Brandy, and she is also not voiced by just anyone. The person who lends her voice unbeknownst to Brandy, is Rose Byrne, an Australian actress who is very well known for acting in all kinds of films, from horror movies to successful comedies and even indie films. The episode in which Aunt Brandy appears for the first time is called Onesies, and here we learn that Chili's sister hasn't visited her in many years. This episode tackles a very adult theme in a subtle way, since Brandy struggled with infertility, and her greatest dream had always been to become a mother. In other words, Rose Byrne didn't just play a nice character created only to be a special cameo, but rather a complex and very interesting character who will certainly appear more in the future of the series, especially after her appearance in The Sign, where we discover that she finally managed to get pregnant. Robert Irwin. Every episode of Bluey is different from the others, even though they are almost always about games and playtime. One of the most unique ones is The Quiet Game, in which we see a rookie store employee named Alfie helping Bandit figure out what his daughters want to buy at the toy store, which is quite difficult since Bluey and Bingo are playing a game where they stay completely silent and communicate only through gestures. At this point, you can probably guess that Alfie's voice came from a celebrity, and if you did imagine that, you're absolutely right. He was voiced by Robert Irwin, the son of the late Steve Irwin, an Australian wildlife presenter from a show called Crocodile Hunter. Anthony Field. Going back to musicians, there's another artist from this world who voiced not just one Bluey character, but two. We're talking about Anthony Field, who is part of a children's music group called The Wiggles. It makes perfect sense for him to make a few cameos in Bluey, a children's animated series. He voiced Rusty's dad, which is kind of funny. Seriously, Rusty's military father having the voice of an artist who makes children's music? But it gets even better when you find out that Anthony Field actually served in the Australian Army during the 1980s. In other words, he and Rusty's dad have more in common than you might imagine. On top of that, Anthony Field also voiced the mail carrier who appears in a few episodes, such as Dance Mode and Bingo. Want to keep having fun with us? Then subscribe and turn on the notification bell. The Wiggles. In fact, Anthony Field's special appearances weren't the only references to the Wiggles. There's a much more direct reference that shows up in the episode Phones, the one where Bluey and Bingo are playing at Calling Grandpa Mort. Next to Grandpa, there's a picture frame with a photo of some dogs wearing colorful outfits. The thing is, they aren't random dogs, but rather the canine versions of the members of the band, the Wiggles. Besides being a great reference, this also confirms that all real-life celebrities exist in Bluey in the form of dogs, not just Queen Elizabeth. Which other famous people would you like to see appear in the show in their canine form? Hamish Blake. Jack is a character who only appeared later in the show, after being transferred to Bluey's school. But before you think that means he's the one voiced by a celebrity, no. It's actually his dad, who is voiced by comedian Hamish Blake. His wife also joined in on the fun, voicing Jack's mom, which makes perfect sense. Hamish Blake also played another role in the series, voicing a store employee in Hammer Barn, Lee Sales. Lee Sales is a well-known Australian journalist, writer, and illustrator, and she also wasn't satisfied with lending her voice to just a single episode of the show. In her case, she did it in 3 different episodes: Ice Cream, The Quiet Game, and Tradies. In all of these episodes, she played the same character, an unnamed dog who works at an ice cream cart. The poor thing doesn't even have a confirmed name, but Lee Sales herself likes to call her the Ice Cream Lady, which makes sense since that's exactly what she's doing, and is probably the name Bluey knows her by. Lane Beachley. You know that scene in the episode The Beach where a surfer briefly passes by Bluey and goes out to surf in the ocean? Yes, you guessed it. That character was voiced by a famous person, in this case, Lane Beachley. She is a professional award-winning surfer. There really couldn't have been anyone better for that role, right? And her special appearance was barely promoted at all, so fans of the athlete who recognized her voice in that episode were genuinely surprised. The next step is right in front of you. 2 fun-filled videos waiting for your click. Thanks, and see you soon.